Hey all, we're back. I know it's been a while, but we're going to start making some gaming videos again. Yesterday my son and I went to the SAC Gamers Expo and it was a lot of fun. This was our third time going. We'll probably do a video talking about that and let you know a little bit about it and everything. But today I want to talk about one of the things I picked up there, and that is a Gameboy Advance SP. But unlike my other SP that I've had since launch, this is the AGS 101 model. So what does that mean? Let's find out. So the Game Boy Advance is one of my favorite systems, and what we're looking at here is the original model. This is the one I got when I was a kid when it first came out. Turn on, show you. This one's nice because it's got a good form factor, and it's kind of like playing a souped up Super Nintendo. But as you can see right here, the screen has no backlight. It's very dark. They sell, well, at the time they sold a few different kind of lights you could put on this to try to help counter that. So this right here is kind of a clamshell to protect the screen, and it has a light. This is from GameStop. I had a worm light for this too. So you see it gives you a little, but of course then you're getting kind of glare on it. I like this one because it does have that case to protect it, and you could change the brightness. So this is at full brightness, and you can see the beginning of Yoshi's Island here. If I get at the right angle, you could kind of see that, but not the best solution. You can't play it in the dark or anything. It's not going to look good. So that's where things started, and I thought that was pretty cool at the time. I really liked it, but I did have a hard time with the screen, and that was kind of disappointing. So then this is the Game Boy Advance SP, and this is the model that I got when it was new as well. The thing here, this, if you see on the back, this is AGS 001. So that's what it looked like when it first came out. This is the standard model, and this is what I've had for a long time. And I love it. It's still a great system. But oh, looks like my battery's drained. Didn't realize. Well, let's plug it in so you can see what I'm talking about here. So I just turned this on. There you go. So you can see this one has a backlight. That's pretty nice, and it's got different levels. So actually you could turn it off or on for this model, but still that's pretty good. You can see some bright. It actually looks brighter on camera than it does in person, and it's not ideal, but it's good enough. But this is what I had for a long time. And the difference with this one, obviously, is the form factor. So you see it's got a clamshell built in to protect that screen. It's really small, fits in your pocket. And actually, I think the light on this one is coming from below. I don't think it's like a true backlight. I think there's a little variance to it. But don't quote me on that, because I might be wrong. But anyway, this is the one I've had forever, and I thought was pretty cool. And it is. One of the downsides is there's no headphone jack. You have to get a special thing to plug in. I have it somewhere, but it lets you put your headphones through that. But anyway, so this is the 001 model. Now let's talk about what I picked up and why I'm excited. I didn't really know these existed until a few years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago. But this was a model that came out a little later, where they bumped up the brightness of the screen, and it really looks a lot better when you see it. So let me make sure it looks really nice before I debut it. So if you're looking for one of these, here's the difference besides the screen when you see it. See where it says AGS 101. And these are a little bit hard to find. After I found out about it, I looked them up on eBay, and the prices are fairly high. So I never picked one up. And then when I would go to my local game store, I would never see one. and I asked the guy about it. He said they do come in, but they're usually bought same day. I've looked for them at like those mall kiosks where they have old systems when we've gone to game shows in the past, but I've never found one. So this is the first one that I've really found in person. They actually had I found 4 of them at the show, so that was kind of cool. One of them was the SpongeBob model, but that one was a little more money. But at the show, you're able to kind of haggle and get better deals, so I got this for considerably less than I've seen it on eBay. But let's take a look at the difference. There we go. So this is the AGS 101 model. And you see the screen's pretty bright, and that's actually not the full brightness. This one goes between 2 brightness levels, so there's a regular and a really bright. And this just, it really pops to me. When I saw it in person, I was really happy with what I saw. So it's everything else I think is the same. It's just the screen that makes the difference. Let me see if I can do a comparison for you. Okay, so here's the 2 side by side. This is with the full brightness on this one and the kind of standard, well, the only brightness that the 001 has. See if I can get it to actually play the game. Okay, so here is the AGS 101 on the left and the 001 on the right. And so for the one on the right, that's as bright as the screen gets. It doesn't have any settings. For the one on the left, the 101, this is actually the lower brightness, and it gets really bright. So I think here you could really see the difference. And if you were to play it in the dark or somewhere, you'd really see that stand out. Just the clarity is so much different between the two. And the brightness, it really makes a big difference. So that's why I was really excited to find one of these and pick it up. In fact, it looks too bright right now on camera. It's hard to really capture how it looks in person, I guess. But that's the difference. So that's the Game Boy Advance AGS 101. I'm pretty happy with this. Like I said, I was looking for it for a couple of years before I found a good one. I have noticed a couple small blemishes on the screen that I wish I noticed before. Compared them more to the other ones. At the time, the screens all looked the same to me, so I don't really know. The reason I picked this one is because the case had less blemishes on the outside, and I thought the screens were the same. They're pretty minor though, so I don't know. I'm still happy with it. One of the things I like to do is, let me see. I have a Game Boy Advance EverDrive. So once you pump that on there, you play all the ROMs and games you want. And it turns this into a really viable on-the-go system for fun. Play pretty much any Game Boy Advance game, Nintendo game, Game Boy Color. I think you could do Sega Master System. There's ROM hacks and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So if you're into like the modding community at all, that's pretty cool. And I should mention, one of the things I saw at the show in person that I never saw before is a number of people. Well, there's a couple guys there that were modding the Game Boys and selling them with backlit screens, so you could actually get a model like this with a nicer with a screen that's backlit now. And they had various ones. They have them with glass. They have them with cool custom shells. So that was pretty cool. They also had Game Boy Colors that were modded there, and it just looks so beautiful to see that bright screen. It made you wish they had it at the time. I remember back in the day playing the old Game Boy and like sitting there and trying to get it at the right angle so there's no reflection so I could see what I'm doing. And I remember trying to play it in the car. Oh, what a nightmare that could be, based on what was going on outside out the window, or if it was getting dark, and then every time you hit a street light, you're like, okay, I can see, okay, now I gotta wait. So, yeah, that would have been cool at the time. I'd like to get something like that in the future. They're a little more pricey, though. The ones at the show I was seeing range from like 130 to 200, and I've seen them online for about as much. You can buy the kit and mod it yourself. That'll save you a little bit of money, but then you kind of have to know what you're doing, otherwise you might ruin your kit or might ruin your Game Boy. So that's something that's always kind of made me nervous. Hopefully someday I could pick up one of those, but I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, that is the Game Boy Advance SP AGS 101 model. And I'd highly recommend it if you ever see one out there in the wild, pick it up. Or if you have the money, get a nice one on eBay. Alright, I'll catch you later.